Hello, happy Saturday. Welcome to the Land Tamer stream, folks. We're going to be talking some EVNG Pro. We're going to talk about the latest GNS3 release and upgrade attempt by myself. And we're going to talk about, we're going to do a couple of quick labs, nothing fancy, guys, just EEM, something that I've been studying. But let's pull up the chat window in case anybody wants to give a shout out here. And hope you're having a good weekend, folks. I'm having a good weekend so far. It's just kind of getting started. Been able to do some study this morning. Quite a bit of reading. I resisted temptation to do some other things, which I will save for a future blog post. I want to cover that in depth. But yeah, we got the chat window open. Here's our agenda to talk about. And just real quick, let's just check and make sure. Okay, yeah. The bot is up and running too. Hello, bot. Good to have you this Saturday morning. All right. So photo credit was SpaceX. Of course, this is, excuse me, this is a SpaceX Flickr account or page where I get, these cool backgrounds. So credit goes to SpaceX. This is the Falcon Heavy when it was on the launch pad. Previously, a little older image, but something that is really cool. GNS3. So before I talk about GNS3 2.1.5, I had to think about that for a second. Whenever you talk about GNS3, again, there I have GNS. It's really GNS3. I'm not sure what happened to the 2 or the 1, but the product itself is called GNS3. And before I really get into it, I was trying to understand the impact of really giving a sort of review about this product because, one, I really appreciate and respect the development of it and the fact that I'm not really sure what the business model is for GNS3. I know it is essentially open source. Like you can download the code yourself and compile it yourself, right? You can modify it if you want, I guess, under Creative Commons license, I believe is what it is. So, I appreciate when I compare GNS3 to other products like I have in the past, I try to keep in mind the fact that it is open source and is apparently community developed. I believe there are employees of GNS3, paid employees of GNS3, but I don't know what the business model is. So everything I say, I try to think about the people who develop the software, right? And appreciate what they're doing, especially the fact that there's, I came from, I've run Linux for a long time. And so I really have a lot of respect for the open source community and have followed a lot of projects for long. I've never contributed to any projects, but I have given feedback on projects in the past. So I appreciate them. And the fact that really it could be that some of these people are volunteering their time, and not getting paid for what they're doing. They're just doing it out of not sure what the motive is. It could be like a lot of other open source projects. They just feel like they want to give back to the community, kind of like what I call myself doing with this channel. It could be that they're doing it to learn programming or hone their skills, or it could be that they're doing it because they hope to grow it into a product that can be revenue generating so that they can continue to improve and maintain the product for the community. I don't really know what the motives are. I don't know any developers there. I would love to interact with some. I have interacted with some of the EVNG developers quite a bit. But, I'd be curious to know a little bit more about it. And I preface what I'm going to say with all this because I want my feedback to be taken with a grain of salt. I am a very specific user type. I'm going to have some positive, but I'm also going to have some negative feedback on this upgrade attempt, okay? But I don't want to be seen in any way as a hater. I am not that at all. I love all this software, and I want to do what I can to make it better, right? I have very positive intentions, and, this is just my initial feedback. I found that the best development is based on interaction between users and, of course, the developers in such a way that is helpful to everyone. and not to do so in an unhelpful or unsupportive way, right? So I want to be helpful. I want to provide constructive and objective feedback. And I think that's, you see that a lot in the gaming community when there's a lot of streamers who stream games and they give feedback, and developers, maybe they're not using the correct channel. And I know that I am not using the correct channel in this case, because GNS3 and other products, they provide a way for users to give official feedback mechanisms, right? Or channels for feedback. I'm not using that channel, right? I'm just blasting this on my stream. And I appreciate that, but I think that, so take that with a grain of salt. I've not sought any feedback on any of these items, but, I took some time to use it, to attempt the upgrade and do an install, and I've got to move on, right? So here's an opportunity just, if anyone is listening from GNS3, or if you want to interact, feel free. Hit me up on Twitter. You can DM me. You can DM me on YouTube, or you can message me on YouTube actually. Discord, any of these methods, and I'll be happy to incorporate your comments, etc. But here's the thing. So we'll get right into it. GNS3 2.1.5 came out. And what my channel is kind of turning into is somewhat of a reviewer, or trying to keep up with the latest news on all these softwares. In fact, I'm considering now renewing VIRl at some point whenever they come out with new images, even though I may not use it, just to obtain the images, but also to kind of review the release and provide that as a service to the community, But anyway, so in this case, GNS3 2.1.5 came out, and what I've noticed, at least in the past, I've had release videos before for GNS3, even though I'm not a main principal user of it. They did release bug fixes here, so there do not appear to be any major features. As a matter of fact, in the release itself, which is linked down here, I found this kind of interesting too, that typically when you have release notes, you will go to a product and you'll click on About, or there's a release notes link, and there are all the official release notes for each version of the product. In this particular case, we have essentially what amounts to a blog post, a community blog post. This is Jeremy Grossman just basically giving some details, saying, so this is someone from the GNS3 team. Excuse me, and they're saying, all right, this is a minor release fixing bugs found since version 2.1. If you want to read a release notes, there really aren't any for 2.1.5. Excuse me a second, guys. I haven't talked much at all this morning, so I guess I'm getting clear in the throat here. But so there are no release notes for this particular version. You have to go to 2.1. So the question might stand, okay, bug fixes, which bug fixes? They don't really say here. It doesn't really tell you where to go to find the bug fixes. It tells you how to report new bugs. And I guess why that would be important is because and we're going to talk about this a little bit later, but with GNS3, I need to know, okay, maybe I've been having issues with GNS3. Maybe these are known bugs. Maybe this release addresses some of those bugs. Maybe it doesn't. This to me is very important with any release of GNS3, which I'll explain more about why. But we don't get them here. Now, you can find them. You cannot find them here, what's new in GNS3. I do appreciate, of course, the warning. No rollback is possible. Back up all your projects, says you need a snapshot. So, yes, there's another warning here. Let me go back to this page. Yeah, so important note. if you're upgrading from 1.5 and earlier versions. Do not upgrade if you're working on something important like a certification or something else. Understand there is no rollback possible once you open an older project in version 2.0. Thank you. Great warning. I've praised this in the past. You know, do not upgrade if you're in the middle of something important, essentially. I would add to this, this is my comment, do not upgrade if you're doing something important. If you're upgrading from any version of GNS3 to this version, okay? That's my opinion, and I'll explain why later, right? We're going to get into that. But there is a way to find which bug fixes are addressed. And I didn't put a link here, but I think if you go to the GNS3, is it the download? I have to log in. That's another thing with GNS3. You do have to log in. No, I don't want to do this. This is cute, you know. This is pretty. I like this. It is a little awkward. It is somewhat awkward here. Now I'm just kind of stuck, right? And no, I can't really get anything else here. Yeah, high praise, right, for user making this easy. But in some ways it's not, right? Because I'm looking for the GNS3. Let's see. That's the blog. Wherever you can download the code to compile it yourself. Oh, GitHub. Here we go. Okay, so this is where you can actually get a brief list of fixes, right? So fix QEMU, binary list locks when a version is deleted, fix invalid answer, fix wrong wizard page name. Okay, so initially me looking at this, I'm going to say, well, there's probably no motive to install. These aren't really any bugs that I have to worry about. But again, you have to get this. You have to get this from the GitHub page. So I don't know. I guess if I have some feedback here, I would say in the future it would be nice to have a link to the list of bugs and a little more emphasis on, among other things, you know, really beware of upgrading, right? So here's some thoughts so far on, and a little bit more about my experience. It is unclear how to upgrade the Mac client and the virtual machine because I'm running on a Mac, and if you click on the download for the Mac, it upgraded my Mac server without really any issues. So I say the Mac server, I say really the Mac client, but I'm running the Mac with the virtual machine. So I have those two components, right? So if I download the Windows version, it worked fine. I didn't really have any problems with that. That went very well. But then as I launched the virtual machine, or as GNS3 Windows client or Mac client launched the virtual machine, I noticed that it is still running the old version. And I'm assuming that if I'm looking for bug fixes, that I'm probably going to want to, oh, there's my screenshot of the bug fixes there. You know, when you launch GNS3, you have in the little window, and I don't have a screenshot of that, but you know, it's 2.1.4. So, I probably don't want to run a different version of the client and the server. And if I'm looking for bug fixes, it's probably going to be in the server itself where I really want to have them. So there's no real clear direction here on how do I upgrade the virtual machine. Well, I figured out that if you boot the virtual machine, which I'm not going to do now because I have EVG running right now. I'm going to do a couple labs. If you boot the GNS3 virtual machine, one of the menu options is to upgrade. Okay, so I'm like, all right, great, I got it. Let me click upgrade. Well, that upgrade failed. So I think I got this message here. Error during upgrade process. Please take a screenshot if you need support, which I did, but I did not upload this support to the proper channel, granted, but that's okay. You know, I didn't have a lot of time. GNS3 is my currently my backup rig, right? So I was like, okay, maybe I can figure this out. So then I went to the documentation and said, all right, I will treat this as a Linux installation. So I ran these commands, except GNS3 GUI. I don't really want to install the GUI on the VM, right? So I did sudo apt-get update, and I did sudo apt-get install, and or I did sudo apt-get upgrade, and that did not work either. So at that point, I said, well, clearly I don't know what I'm doing, or this is not obvious, or there's some issue here with the documentation. So let me just scrap the VM and just install a new one. Just download, because I want consistency. So I'm going to download 2.1.5 VM and install it, and should be good to go. And that's what I did. Okay. By the way, what I tried to do something cute here, which didn't work. If you rename this virtual machine, which I did, I tried to rename the versions. So I said, okay, I need to keep these sorted. I don't want to delete this VM yet. I may want to revert to it. So I'll rename this, and I'll create a new GNS3 virtual machine named 2.1.5. Well, the link between the Mac client, what it does is it tries to make it easy for you, and maybe people who don't understand about the correlation with the VM, it launches the VM for you. But apparently it's launching based on that name. And if you rename the virtual machine name, you're going to get a whole bunch of pop-ups in an infinite loop, right? So you don't want that. So I renamed it back and to the old name, and that worked. So yeah, essentially in a summary, the in-place upgrade process failed. It did not work. So I had to do essentially a new install of the VM. And these are similar issues, guys, that I've had in the past with VIRl. VIRl also is touchy in doing in-place upgrades. They recognize that. They've made a lot of attempts to improve that process. And with VIRl, typically, if you get 2 releases behind, you will not be able to do an in-place upgrade. As long as you're doing them consistently, typically you can do an in-place upgrade, and you won't have to jump. But if you have to jump too far, the in-place upgrade is often not an option, right? So this in-place upgrade did not work. The effects were that I lost my IP configuration on the server and the startup configurations in my projects. I did not lose my projects. That part was fine. And when I installed the GNS3 app, or the GNS3 Mac version, all that configuration was there. I knew that would work because in the past I've tried to clear that out, and that's not easy to do on a Mac. You have to go in and you have to do like the old Windows systems where you have to delete INI files and delete registry entries. It seems like that to get rid of GNS3. It has tendrils all through your Mac operating system, right? So all that came up fine, but I did lose. Fortunately, I did not have that many projects in my VM, and I didn't really care. That's fine. All I have to do is I will, I guess, have to. I did not have to re-upload the images, which is cool. That was not the case with EVG virtual machine, which I'll get to in a minute as well. But It wasn't a big deal. I did not have a lot of information in there, and I don't really have a system set up. At some point I want to set up a TFTP server where I can, keep backups of configs, and in that case, it would have been a lot easier to restore my configurations on the routers, and switches. Not a big deal though. It did resolve some sort of compatibility issue, and this is something that was not documented as a bug, and probably didn't have anything to do with GNS3 install itself. But when I did my old VM, the 2.1.4, it has this current CPU configuration is not supported. When I installed 2.1.5, I did not get this error. This is probably an error on my part. My theory on this is that when I installed or imported the 2.1.4 version, that it may have, I think it prompted me to upgrade the virtual machine. And I seem to remember missing that prompt and trying to do it later. I don't know. It may not be related to GNS3 at all, but anyway, that's my VM configuration. We're all good there. So should I upgrade? I would say no. If you're running GNS3 just fine, if you're on 2.1, probably any release, there's no need to upgrade really to 2.1.5 unless it addresses some of those. If you have an annoying bug that is causing you problems and you see that as one of the bug fixes, go for it. Just like it tells you, make sure you do a snapshot of your VM. I would make a copy of it, or just snapshot it and be prepared to revert if it doesn't go well, right? No harm done if your upgrade fails and you go back. Maybe they will release more information about how to upgrade the VM successfully without any issues. But there's a good bit of risk there, guys. So that's why I'm saying I would not recommend it. I'm learning. I'm new. I haven't used GNS3 consistently for years. Now I want to keep a good copy running. I want to keep some topologies in there. It's not going to be my primary. It's my backup. My failover lab, rig that I plan to use when I need to keep labbing just pretty much every day. I want to have it there. I want to have it running. I want to have it up to date, right? So for me, it was not a big deal, really. Not a lot of time lost and not a lot of resources lost. But if it's your mainstay lab software, lab environment, use caution, right? If you're doing a new install, absolutely do the latest. I would imagine for a new install, it's simple, right? But those are my thoughts. And again, take it with a grain of salt. I'm a basic user. I'm not really an expert user of GNS3, but those are my thoughts on the 2.1.5 release. And again, I appreciate what the community is doing, especially if they are doing this as volunteers. Please take my comments as positive feedback, constructive. That's all I want to do. I love the product, and I want to help make it better whenever I can. So moving right along to my written exam study progress, I've been hitting NAT, in particular NAT ALG, application layer gateway. Interesting concepts, as well as NAT 64 and NPTv6, aka NAT protocol translation v6. I did my reading on that. I'm kind of moving on, and I started looking at today NetFlow and some SNMP, as well as some of the IP services, as well as EEM, which I'm going to lab up here in a minute. Do a few labs on that. Discord, Agile Automation, just to give you some updates on a couple things going on in Discord. Link is below, of course. Agile Automation, we had Dimitri post a long response to some discussion there about automation in general on Cisco devices, and he said he ran out of room. That he hit the text character limit in Discord, which is awesome. I'm great that he posted in there. Yeah, a lot of it had to do with Ansible as well. He thought that his comments were maybe he'll come out with a blog post. That would be great because the information there is good. If you're involved with Ansible or Agile Automation, check it out if you want to read his comments there. But it's probably going to be a blog post later. And then Circus Ring, that's about our meetups. We've been talking in there about doing some presentations. So if you like to present to the group, if you need some practice, if you want to teach to be taught kind of thing, a couple of us are tossing around some ideas about some upcoming presentations on QoS, on possibly, what was one of the other topics? There's another topic that we're talking about doing, and this will be like once a month again during our meetup, someone doing a presentation. So if you like to do one, check out the channel. Be happy to hear what you have to, offer there. The other thing, labbing. So when I got to EEM, Embedded Event Manager, this is something that I get wrong all the time when I do the boson questions. And a lot of the questions seem to be about some of the same things. I did read about it earlier, around 11 a.m. I was actually finishing up reading some of the topics on EEM. And I felt like I needed to do a little more digging to understand it better. And then finally I said, I need to do a couple quick labs, just to make sure I understand what these different things mean. Exit status, sync, skip. So I'm going to play with that here in a moment, just from the Cisco documentation. But I want to talk a little bit about EvenG Pro. This is my first lab I've done in too long. And, VIRl no longer is licensed, and I had the big thing about using EvenG. Well, some of the developers were in Discord and in Twitch here interacting with me, and offer me to, as a trial, to utilize the EvenG Pro product. So I really appreciate that. That's not something I asked for. It was volunteered. That's their licensed paid product, and they offered me to let me use it. And they even took some time to show me, one of the main developers took some time to show me some of the features, how it works. He made sure that I got it set up properly and licensed and all that. And so, thank you very much again, guys at EvenG. I really appreciate it. And I'm going to use it today for the first time. Use it for a lab. Again, it's going to be very simple. But what I did have to do, kind of the same scenario with Eve, I did not do an in-place upgrade. There is a process to upgrade from the Community Edition to the Pro Edition. I read the documentation on that, and I was like, well, this is on me on my own, right? Not asking for any guidance or help. This was my decision. I'm like, well, I'll just download the Pro. I'd already actually downloaded it because that can sometimes take a little time. So I downloaded it, and I'm like, well, shoot, I'll just fire up I'll just create a new virtual machine. Great thing about virtualization, right? Which I have. I have Eve Pro 204/24 and Eve Community Edition 20386. As a matter of fact, when I saw that there was an upgrade out, I tweeted about this, 2.0.4. That's really for the Pro Edition. I don't even think that you can't. Maybe you can. I'm not even sure that there is a Community Edition 2.0.4, but I just let this VM here just in case. But I'm running now the Pro Edition, and it's really cool. I mean, I can't speak to all the cool features that it has. I plan to do that in the future, a dedicated stream/vlog to talk about the differences between the Community and the Pro Edition and why you may or may not want to upgrade. But I'm telling you, it's slick. It's slicker than frog snot, as we say in the South, right? But one thing I did have to repeat, right, because basically I blew away my configuration and went to a new version, is I had to update I updated my host files just for convenience. Guys, this is stupid simple on the Mac or the Windows, but I found that it's so hard to type telnet. You saw me doing telnet VIRl on the stream all the time, and why have to remember IPs, and just update your host file. So I put EvenG and GNS3 in here, and so I did that. Now I have a static IP on the new VM, and then, like I said, there's going to be a future review. The other thing I had to do was upload. I realized this right before the stream, like, oh, I need to re-upload the images, the VIRl images, and that is a process that intimidates a lot of people from what I've read on stream. they've said, yeah, I would love to use Eve, or I would love to even G, or I would love to use GNS3, but I'm not a Linux guy or gal. I'm not a Linux expert. I don't want to have to do all that stuff. Well, okay, so a little biased here. I am a longtime Linux end user, but the steps are really simple, right? To do some of the things you need to do to get things running on both GNS3 and Eve, right? So even G, what I did is, fortunately, I logged everything before that I had to do to upload the images. So this time it was just copy paste. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to share this. I've seen some documents out there. This is probably a repeat of things that are already out there, guys. But just in case, I wasn't sure. I created well, shoot, I don't have it linked here. I'll get it linked. I'm going to share this with the world. So, you know, this is step-by-step. It's in the Even G folder in Google Drive share. Step-by-step upload VIRl 151 images. I also have the Dynamips down here too. The C7200. So this is great. You know, I had wiped basically a new virtual machine. Got to get my VIRl images in there. USSH in. Copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste. You know, I use FileZilla to copy the files over. Done in just a few minutes, right? So this is shared on the Google Drive share, and I'll post it below too after the stream is over. But I got all that done, and so now it's running, and now we can talk about some EEM. And this is what I was reading earlier. And I thought, you know, I need to lab this. So in particular, what's of interest to me is, let's go to the exit status. Regular expression match. There's also sync. Okay, yeah, this is what I want to play with. So it's one of those things, you know, I read it. Okay, makes sense. Great. I need to lab it. I really need to lab it. So we're going to lab this real quick. This is just some of these examples here that are in the Cisco documentation. So let's put this here. Yeah, these are the main things. The sync keyword, and these again are for event CLIs. So this is when someone is typing at the CLI. And this is a question I've gotten wrong a number of times. So you've got synchronous publishing of CLI events, asynchronous publishing of CLI events, and asynchronous publishing of CLI events with command skipping. So very important distinction here. And I think some of the questions I'll probably get will be regarding these scenarios on the screen and what is going to happen, right? At least that's what I've seen on the boson so far. So let's pop up even G. I think I've got... Yeah, I've already logged in. Close some of these windows I no longer need. Okay. So we're going to create a couple applets here. The first one I want to look at all three of these scenarios. And we'll try to sort of categorize them here. And use an example, okay? So the first example they have is, the following configuration will prevent you from accessing the configuration mode. Prevent you to, not grammar there, but that's okay. If the exit status is not set to 1, the EEM policy will disable functionality in the router. To remove, you may need to reload with unsaved configuration. It is possible to remove the event applet, but all unsaved configuration will be lost. Yeah. This would be a nasty trick to play on somebody, right? If you wanted to really play a prank on somebody, man, you could put this on a router somebody was staging or configuring. It'd be so wrong. So wrong. We're not going to do that one. The following example shows how to specify an EEM applet to run when the Cisco IOS write mem CLI command is run. Of course, it doesn't matter here in the lab, right? Because we're just monkeying around. By the way, speaking of that, let's load. I built this even G. I haven't added any nodes yet. Let's go ahead and add router, at least one router, right? There's a way to remove. I read somewhere that there's a way to clear list of things that you're not using. At some point, we'll want to do that. Okay, so here's router 1. This is probably really all we need. So let's start. And double click to open the terminal. Yeah. Oh, there's to it. So this example is to specify an applet to run. The applet provides a notification via a syslog message that this event occurred. Okay, so this is our first scenario, I believe. So this is... The CLI command is not executed until the EEM policy exits. The EEM policy can't control whether the command is executed. The read-write variable allows you to set the exit status for policies triggered from synchronous events. Okay, so let's do this. So theoretically, this will allow us to run the command. It is synchronous, right? Sync yes. And this is when we do write memory dot. I don't know what this means. That's some sort of pattern. Is that like regular expression? So that's anything afterwards, right? Which I wonder, would it wait for us to hit enter? Like, when is this triggered exactly? Not sure, but we're going to find out. Initial configuration dialog, no. So asynchronous publishing of CLI events. So the CLI event is published and then the CLI command is executed. So these are asynchronous. Sync no. The following example shows how unintended results can be produced when using the skip keyword followed by the yes. When the skip keyword is followed by the yes keyword, unintended results may pursue the pattern matches made for configuration commands. CLI command that matches the regular expression will not be executed. So in this example, the first applet uses the skip keyword followed by the yes keyword to specify that any CLI command. Okay. All right, so that is asynchronous. I guess what I want to see is I don't want to go to asynchronous yet. I want to stay with synchronous, and I want to try synchronous exit status 0, right? And then I want to do the other one. Synchronous exit status 1. We're going to call this CLI match 1 and this CLI match 2. Okay. Okay, so now it is saved. And the show commands show event manager. Oh, this is everywhere it runs, right? Show event manager. Policy. Okay, so we have active, available. So we have AP perf test base. So these are built in, right? CL show EEM tech, no perf test init. And these are TCL scripts. That's cool. Okay, now this is cutting off the screen here. CLI match 1. Okay, so registered is where I have to. So this is registered with the event manager. And where are those TCL scripts? Oh, CD show or dir flash. Yeah, where are those TCL scripts stored? Interesting. They must be loaded. They must be stored in the actual. I'm assuming they're stored in the image and they are loaded. In the system. Okay. TM crash reporter, TM. TM. All right, I'm not going to get too distracted there, but all right, so we've registered this one. Let's register the other one. Command execute HAEM6 log CLI match 1. Command executed. I did not do a write mem. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. So when we put, because of this text, this triggered the, this triggered match 1. Isn't that interesting? Wow. I guess I wasn't really expecting that to happen. Okay. I don't know how you get around that. So now if we do registered, did the other one make it? Or did it get interrupted? Shall I match 2? Oh, but it says we want X at 0, don't we? Now can we just do that? Yeah, they both executed because I guess these are so in this case we have conflicting commands. One says X is status 0, the other says X status 1. That's probably not a good test here. But hey, now we know. Let's just remove this one. Okay, so now we only have the one. So let's do write mem. And we get a syslog message. What do we tell it to do? What's the action? Syslog message. Okay. All right, so now let's change it to basically in synchronous mode. It should wait for the policy to execute. Okay, we're actually going to do this. No event manager applet CLI match 1, and we're going to do event manager CLI 2. Okay. Okay, so now let's try it. Write mem. Aha. So we have no grub config written, writing or written syslog messages. Wow. Okay. So that is the difference between exit status 1 and exit status 0. Good deal. Well, that's pretty self-explanatory. So now let's do asynchronous. Asynchronous publishing. And I'm going to keep it as write mem. I'm going to keep the same. So what is the difference when you do sync no? Actually, we're going to change this up here. The CLI event is published, then the CLI command is executed. So this time we're going to do sync no. And we're going to take out, we don't need exit status, right? We don't need the set command when we're not using synchronization. Just do that. Actually, we're going to need to do this first here, right? Okay. All right, let's try it out. No event configured for applet, CLI match 1. All right. None. Why is that? Why is that? Okay, then we're going to put this command. Oh, sync no. Interesting. So we have default action timer, maximum runtime of applet, number of occurrences before raising the event, number of occurrences must occur within this time period. Wow, a lot of options here. The ones here say period 5. Let's just do default. Huh. It wants me to do something with skip, doesn't it? Yes. Okay. I don't get this. I don't get the carriage return until I specify skip. Can I just do skip? Okay, so it wants to know. Sync. Okay. Sync no, skip no. Okay, then we'll do this command. Yeah, I skipped. Exit, end. So what is the difference there? I guess it's the wait, right? So in Synchronous, basically your CLI pauses and waits for the applet to finish. And then we have the option skip or no, basically. That's what the exit status means. So exit status, actually 1 is this is the order we did it in. So exit status 0 skips. So in other words, all right. So let's recategorize this, right? This is synchronous. definition. Synchronous CLI waits for policy to finish. Exit status 1. Don't skip CLI command. Exit status 0. Skip CLI command. You know, it's funny because it's basically ways of saying the same things here, but the syntax sure is a lot different, isn't it? Exit status 1, don't skip. Exit status 0, skip. Okay. Asynchronous. Asynchronous. CLI does not wait for policy to finish. Let's do it this way. This makes a little more sense, right? You got synchronous and then asynchronous. What is it? Skip no, right? Yeah. Skip no. Don't skip CLI command. Skip yes. Skip CLI command. So skipping away here, guys. Skipping rocks. So then we have our examples: synchronous exit status 1, synchronous exit status 0. Now we're going to do asynchronous. See, I appreciate this syntax. You authors of, you beloved authors of the Cisco documentation, I do appreciate it. But published is such a vague, for a noob, is such a vague term to use. And yeah. So, note to anyone out there who might be listening, try to be very careful in your terms. Maybe put a little, you know, bracket here or parentheses. In other words, that's all it would take. So in other words, hey, we got a new follower. Thank you very, very much. Always appreciate it, guys. The support here in the stream. Much appreciated. So asynchronous, by the way, can I see that? I need to figure out a way to see that. What I need to do is put up the Streamlabs dashboard or something on here. I'm going to put that on my stream to-do list, guys. So going back to this, asynchronous, we're gonna get rid of this Cisco documentation explanation. Gone. And we're gonna do an example here, right, ma'am? Sync no, skip no. Yeah. Sync no, skip no. Why couldn't they do here sync yes, skip yes? Or sync yes, skip no? I'm not going to criticize. Haven't studied this fully to understand everything, so probably don't know all the implications, all right? But anyway, asynchronous, no skip. This reminds me of the Seinfeld episode. Are you a tuck or are you a no tuck? I'm a no tuck. Are you a skip or you no skip? All right, so that's that example. And that, did we do this already? I think so, yeah. So now we're going to do this last example, guys. And we're probably going to wrap it up here. This is asynchronous skip. So sync no, skip yes. So now I'm going to try to write mem. We get log message, but our command does not run. Okay. That makes so much more sense now. I may save these notes somewhere. Put them in a cheat sheet. Yeah, I'll create a cheat sheet for this, guys, and let you know when it's published. As a quick reference, right? Boom, 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 boom. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good stuff. All right, let me save this. Cheat, EEM, sync, skip. Yeah. All right, good deal. What else we got? So that kind of covers this in terms of EEM. I'm going to get back to I'm going to get ready for my guests and that are coming in. I got to do that. I'm going to just talk about some meat chunks real quick. I haven't gone over these yet, but this was an interesting post about someone who did some research on Comcast. I have experienced this, guys, and if you are a Comcast customer, I'm sorry. I was in Nashville for 4 years, and they didn't always do this, but at some point they put a cap on regular customers, residential customers, and we got charged a lot of money. And I did not really have a good way with the router I had to monitor the usage, but I thought it was bogus. Well, this is someone who has done some hard numbers and found that, that they're not sure how Comcast is metering, but it seems to be wrong. And there are several possibilities kind of explored here, but, please, class action lawsuit, come my way. And send me a letter one day and refund me some money because my internet bill, and again, I was using Comcast for nothing else but internet, and we were regularly charged. We turned down, we tried everything. We turned down the resolution on Netflix. We turned down, it was only 2 of us living together at that time, myself and my sister. And it was just, oh, good grief. Sometimes we get hit with huge bills. I would download my I&E videos at work after hours instead of doing it at home at my convenience, all kinds of stuff. And I was so glad when I got here to Central Florida and realized that I would not have to have a cap and be charged per rate on internet. Whew. Anyway. I hope there's more to this story. In other words, interesting read. This is a 2.1.5 release, which I pulled up earlier. And then, like we talked about earlier in the Discord channel, Agile and Automation, Dimitri had a post, and one of his labs that he did on his stream was his lab management software to actually manage his GNS3 configuration using Ansible and Yang and YAML. Is cool stuff. So I've been on his stream. I have not actually watched it. So I said, the least I can do, limited time I have, least I can do is watch when he gives a demo of what his project does. So I created a YouTube link here that goes right to the demo if you want to check it out. And it's cool. Good work, man. I responded to Dimitri that is going to be my next big thing. Right after CCI routing switching, I want to get into automation for sure. Who doesn't, right? And then the EEM book, this is what I was referencing today, the labs. So that's what I was working on in case anybody wants to do them themselves. So I got, folks. Wow, a whole hour has passed, like really fast. So anyway, thanks guys for being here and being part of the community and, encouraging me with your support. I really appreciate it. Again, this is what this stream started out as, was solid labbing. As a matter of fact, if you look at my YouTube channel where all the labs are, I've done marathons of like 14-hour labbing days, streaming the whole day, even eating on stream and labbing, etc. So it's kind of turned lately during the written into vlogging, kind of pure vlogging. And that's been fun too. And I think in the future it's going to be kind of a mix, but we're going to keep, we're going to keep streaming here. And thanks again for everyone's support. Please click that follow button if you haven't already. I'm trying to get up to, I forget what it's called, not partner status, but there's verified channel or something like that. So I'm trying to get up to 200 followers and 3 average users per stream, which, I'm real close. So affiliate, thank you. I'm trying to get affiliate. There's a lot I need to learn about Twitch. There's so much to learn. But yeah, I like to get affiliate and maybe do some emotes, some things like that, and have fun with it. But yeah, thanks for being here, guys. Thanks for the chats, and we shall see you soon back here on a Land Tamer stream. Hope you have a great weekend. Keep on studying, get all good bits, and keep forging ahead towards that cert. It's there. Just got to reach for it. Take care, guys.